Welcome, everyone. This is the Cultcast. For those of you watching live on the Cultimac YouTube channel, some of you may have never actually heard the show or seen the show. We get together once each week, and we talk about the week's best Apple stories. We talk about gadgets. Sometimes we talk about movies or television shows. We try to keep it Apple-focused for the most part, but we can't help but go on tangents from time to time, and I have a feeling that might happen sometime here in the next 30 minutes or so. It's the web's favorite Apple podcast. That's official. So I think you're going to have a great time watching. We'll fill you in on everything that's happening this week in the Apple news. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. This week we're going to be talking about iPhone 12. The reviews are in, so we'll talk about what people are saying about the 12, as you may have. And maybe as a little teaser, I don't even know if I should say this, quite honestly. There's a part of me that thinks I might not upgrade this year.
What?
Your face was so frozen there for a moment, Lewis, that I thought that maybe
a streaming problem.
I thought that maybe Skype froze. Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks I actually, for the first time in a long time, I just may not upgrade, and we can talk about why that is. But there is some other Apple stuff coming out that I'm very excited for, so we can talk about that kind of stuff too. And let's see, we're also going to be talking about, I think, an absolutely insane feature coming to HomePod. It's going to change the way people use HomePod. It's going to change the way I use HomePods, and it's something that I'm really excited for. This could be a really magical feature and bring new life to the HomePod. And I'm a huge HomePod fan. I talk about them all the time. I think it's one of Apple's best products. And this is something that makes them even better. So we'll talk about that. And then we're going to wrap up with a story that I got contacted about 30 times this week. And that is Johnny Ive's new job. Johnny Ive's got a new job, and he's not where you think he is. And he's not there. If you know where he went, he's not there why you think he's there. I know you're thinking Chamford mint pillows, and that's a part of the strategy. But that's not the full story. So we can talk a little bit about that. Before we dive in, Leander, do you want to give us a little bit of...
That thing looks sci-fi in a way, you know? It's like...
Which one's that? Which one's that? I got to make sure I'm looking at it.
Let me send you a link.
Because, you know, there's one thing that you should know about me, guys. I love gold.
You like the gold? This is very feminine rose gold.
How dare you criticize my watch band choice? Is it the...
Yeah, it's a crazy looking thing.
But yeah, it looks... It's almost like one of those... what are those things called? The Spidell bands, like a stretchy Spidell band, but it has like the kind of contours and stuff like one of those crazy Tesla trucks, whatever that thing's called. What is that truck called?
Oh, the Cybertruck, yeah.
Cybertruck.
Okay, wait a second, guys. What's the name of the band?
I just dropped a link in there. It's called the Golden Air Pyramid Band.
Oh, there we go.
Don't try using a search on our site. It's a loser's game.
Oh my gosh, look at that thing. Look at all the facets and angles of that. It does kind of look like a Cybertruck. Is that your wrist, Lewis? Because I know you have that shirt.
Yeah.
Don't you wear that shirt on stage?
Yeah, the 1700s blouse. Yes, that was my favorite.
I thought you wore this shirt on stage at your shows. Is that not right?
I've actually worn things far more ridiculous.
I heard that you also just like to wear it around your home, which is fine. I think that's a beautiful shirt. It reminds me of that one on Seinfeld.
Please, no judgment.
No judgment from me. I'm all about wearing women's shirts. All right, guys. Let's just... we forgot to say, if you're interested in any of these fine wares, check out the Cultimac Watch Store, store.cultimac.com, store.cultimac.com. It's a curated store full of really great stuff. I mean, beautiful straps, beautiful cases, and it's not just a bunch of cheap garbage. It's actually nice stuff that you'll enjoy using. Okay.
Yeah. There's going to be more of those iPhone cases, obviously, as coming weeks. So,
we're going to get absolutely buried in iPhone cases in the next several weeks.
It's going to be frightening. There's a nice blue one already. You can see the blue one in there from Mujo. It's looking good.
All right, let's dive right into the show. iPhone 12. Let's just kick off with that. iPhone 12 is coming out tomorrow, as is the iPhone 12 Pro, and then on November 6th we get the iPhone 12 Mini and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I have to make myself say that slow so that I can actually say it, because there's just so many words involved in that title now. So, iPhone 12 and 12 Pro first impressions. The reviews are out. I'm sure you guys have probably already watched a ton of it. And you know, one of the things I was surprised by is how much of an incremental upgrade this seems to be over the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. Did you guys kind of catch that? Did you catch that whiff, Lewis? There wasn't really anything that jumped out at me as far as the reviewers were concerned that made it seem like this phone was that much better than the last generation of phones. And it's certainly not 5G. I mean, we were just talking about the 5G map. And
yeah, right.
Was that 5G map that you showed me, was that Verizon? Was that the Verizon map?
Yeah, straight from the Verizon website. I looked at it today.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's if you,
Yeah. Well, that was the thing I was wondering about is when we were looking at these maps. I'm looking at the map right now, and with both the Verizon and the AT&T map, let's see here, they show 5G, but I wonder if this includes. So AT&T has this thing called 5GE, which they rolled out like a year ago, which is basically also known as not 5G. It's just LTE that they say, from my understanding. It's like, well, it's almost as fast as 5G, so we're just going to call it 5GE. And I think they include that in their 5G coverage map because there is no way this map of AT&T 5G coverage. So the 5G coverage is like the teal color and the 4G is blue. There is no way they have 5G ultra wideband coverage in all these places. There's no way. And okay, and Verizon does kind of the same thing. They classify their 5G as 5G ultra wideband and then 5G nationwide, and then underneath that it says includes 4G LTE coverage. Yeah.
And the just to be clear, I mean, what I was talking about with like the streets, I mean, you know, there's a handful of streets there south of Market and a few in the financial district and whatnot. That's where the 5G ultra wideband is, and that's where it's going to be like revolutionary, right? That's where if you can get on, if you live in a place or work in a place where you can regularly access that, I think you'd be amazed by 5G. But I think in general, what do I know? I mean, I don't have a 5G phone yet, but I think I think there's looking at the maps. I think there's going to be a lot of like, oh, yeah, it's a little faster once in a while.
Well, I'm looking at the map,
mostly it's
for
the same.
T-Mobile, the one, my carrier in San Francisco, and guess where 5G ends? It's covered in my part of town where I live, except for my block.
Your block?
That was intentional. Yeah. They did that on purpose. I think TC, he worked with them to make sure that you weren't going to get the coverage that you needed.
Do they do the same thing where they mix it up and say like, oh, here's where our 5G coverage is. Oh, but that might include 4G.
I'd have to go back and look. I think it's but I think it's the millimeter wave. The really fast 5G. And people have said it's really amazingly accurate. Like it really is block to block. You can be walking along, and on the map, where it falls off a cliff, it falls off a cliff.
Wow.
Yeah. So look at.
Yeah, you're saying T-Mobile actually has some in Bernal Heights.
Yes, but not on my block.
Because Verizon is like, there's none of that 5G ultra wideband. None.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking at the Verizon map right now.
Hardly in San Francisco.
This is for Seattle though, so I'm looking at the 5G map right now for Verizon, and there is no 5G ultra wideband anywhere. So there are people in the chat saying they lost the video. And hopefully it looks like we're back. But we were just talking about, for the last 10 minutes, we've been talking about the exact same thing. And that is the fact that there doesn't seem to be 5G anywhere. And we could talk about this for another 10 minutes or so. But I think we've
this is a big thing in the review. The reviews you're about to talk about, isn't it?
Right. This is kind of like the main
all the reviews
thing.
said they couldn't test it. Yeah.
Right. No, I don't think I saw more than one reviewer who was able to even test the 5G without going way out of their way to test the 5G. So the marquee feature 5G, I think, is very powerful. It's very cool, but you can't really use it. And for someone that's coming from an iPhone 11 Pro like I am, I was looking at the differences in camera performance, and there are some, but they're not significant. I was looking at the differences in speed, and sure, the new phone is faster in some ways, but not really significant. And so for me, I was thinking there doesn't really seem to be anything here for me going from an iPhone 11 12 Pro to the new 12. I mean, you get night mode and you get a deep fusion on all of the camera lenses, whereas on the iPhone 11 Pro, you get it just on the main camera lens, and I think on telephoto too. And that's kind of about it. And the photos look a little bit better. The HDR3 on the new iPhone 12, it looks good. It looks better than the iPhone 11 12 or the 11 Pro, but it doesn't look that much better. And side by side is really the only place where you'd notice it. So I just got to thinking, do I want to spend another $1,000 on a phone that is only incrementally better than the phone I have now and doesn't really have any actual significant feature that I would find to be compelling? Now, I know that's blasphemy on this show, and we're probably going to lose all of our listeners after admitting this. But I'm just being truthful here. I'm like, it's $800 for the iPhone 12 mini.
Yeah, but how much can you get for the 11?
Well, I'm giving the 11 to my wife, so nothing.
Oh, well, then there you go.
So a big fat nothing, Lewis, and she has the iPhone XR, so I can probably sell that for like $350, which would subsidize it for sure. And the other thing is, I have to admit, the deep fusion. So there's Smart HDR, right, which looks at your photo when you take a picture and will adjust the exposure depending on what is happening in your scene. It will bring the brightness of the sky down and bring the brightness of your face up. I think that feature makes a huge improvement in photos, and it's one that I actually like the look of. Deep fusion is the other technology that Phil Schiller called photography mad science. I gotta say, I don't actually think it makes photos look that much better. If you're taking landscape photos, then it might, because it goes through and it makes things sharper and brings out detail and will reduce noise. But on a face, I think it actually goes overboard and makes people's faces too sharp in some instances, which sounds crazy, but in Hollywood, they use a filter called a Pro Mist filter. Have you heard of this, Lewis? A Pro Mist? And its only job is to blur your face. Because that's people don't like super sharp faces. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, the whole thing with like 4K movies, you watch it and it's like, whoa, it's just like so freaky and weird. It doesn't even look real. It's so hyper realistic that it looks unreal. I remember I saw like, what was it? The Hobbit, I think. And it was just like the only parts that looked real in that were the parts that were completely fake. And the real stuff looked
You mean
unreal.
like the CGI, you mean?
Yeah, the CGI stuff looked like legitimately real. But like, a couple of guys running across a field, what the heck is that? It's fake. It's uncanny. It's very uncanny. But I didn't know if you want to talk about it now, but you sent that video about the guy who had the comparison with the 11 and the 11 Pro and the 12 and the 12 Pro. Did you want to talk about that now, or are you saving that for later?
Did you watch that?
I did watch it.
Okay, you know what? I'm just going to start playing it in the background so people can see the comparison. So just so I give credit, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and he did a great comparison side by side with the 11 Pro. He did the 12, and he did the 12 Pro. And there definitely are some differences, but as you'll see here, they're not drastic. So go ahead, Lewis. Fire away.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't have the greatest eyes in the world, but I'm looking at that stuff, and I'm straining real hard to see much difference at all. I mean, you can see it, and it definitely, who doesn't want a better camera? I didn't see any instances where it looked worse, except for maybe there were a couple of things actually where just what you're talking about, where like the face, like now it's so realistic that you can see like shiny patches, where the sun is bouncing off his skull, right?
Yeah.
Just a little bit more realistic. I mean, I think 5G is going to be amazing when and if you get, within.
For sure. I think 5G will be incredible, but I think we're probably a year out, if not more than that, from ubiquitous 5G, quite honestly. Unless you live in a major metropolitan area, and even then, I think we're probably 6 months away from having ubiquitous 5G. And when the 5G is there, it looks incredible. I mean, the speeds that I've seen from 5G are better than the speeds that I have with the fiber optic I have coming out to the Colt Command Center. I usually get about 900 well, maybe 400 down and 900 up. I don't know why the up speed is always faster. So that's really good, right?
That's weird.
Bizarre.
But the up speed is always faster on my fiber. But from what I've seen from the 5G tests that I've seen, they're getting like 1,800 down, 1,900 up. That is insane. I've
seen figures even higher than that. You know, like in the 3,000 range.
You saw 3,000?
Yeah.
I don't even believe you. I don't even believe you.
Well, John Gruber was saying that he got like 2,800, I think.
Wow, that is crazy. I mean, 2,800 megabits a second, just so people realize, we're talking like, this is fuzzy math, but 260 megabytes per second for a wireless cellular connection. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. I mean, who could ever use that much speed, right, Lewis? No one.
You can never have enough speed.
No,
never have enough.
That's Leander's model too.
Time tested.
I hear it's also good for presidential debates.
Oh my god.
That's right, tonight.
Oh man. Oh yeah, boy. Okay, let's not get political. But so anyway, look, I know I'm gonna get creamed. I'm looking at the comments, and some of you are not happy with what I'm saying. I'm just being honest with you guys, and I know a lot of people that are coming from the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8, the iPhone 10. I think upgrading from those phones, you're going to have a massive leap in performance, and you're going to be thrilled. You're getting HDR3, you're getting the newest Deep Fusion, especially if you're going with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I think that phone is going to be the one where Apple really crams in all the best technology. Sadly, that's what they decided to do this year, whereas last year, all the phones are pretty similar. This year, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is going to have the best camera. It's going to have like the sensor shift technology, and it's going to have way better low light performance. I think it's supposed to be like 87% better than the last iPhone 11 Pro Max. So if you're looking for all the best, that's going to be your phone, and that one will have the best technology. But the other thing about that phone, which I think is important, is the fact that it's also going to have the biggest battery. So Lewis, I'm getting ahead of myself here, aren't I? You want to tell us about? Were you going to be telling us about the battery performance for the iPhone 12? Let's
no.
No,
come on, man.
That's Leander
Stick
Caney.
with the program here.
Yeah, Leander Caney.
You're blowing this all up, fun.
Look, Leander's sitting there quietly.
All of our carefully laid plans just blown up.
Okay, let's
at the speed of 5G.
Let's just talk about the 5G tests, and then we can talk about pre-orders. I'm going in order of storytelling here. So let's start with the 12 and 12 Pro 5G test, Leander. Just save me here. I'm stumbling. Just take it away. Let me stop talking for.
We need to hire you an octopus.
Goodness sakes.
Yeah. So they only from what I can see, an early test of the battery life on 5G by Tom's guide. It said that it comes at a cost to the battery. So in these first published battery tests, Tom's guide tested the new iPhones on both 4G and 5G, running both on the same screen brightness and loading up new sites every 30 seconds until they ran out of battery. The conclusion: the 5G uses has a pretty major impact on battery life. And so this is a stress test. They stressed it out. It lost, I think it was 2 hours. The iPhone 11 on 4G it lasted 11 and a half hours, and then on 5G it was like 9.5 hours, so there was a 2 hour difference. And then the Pro model, the iPhone 12 Pro, it was like a 1.5 hours difference, which is a fairly big hit for the battery life.
Did you say 20% already? Did you say the number 20%?
I didn't work out the percentages. Did you? Okay. Do you know what and I can't do it off the
So
top of my
from
head
the percentage that I saw, it's a 20% hit. So if you're on 5G, you're going to take a 20% hit to your battery life. Now the nice thing is you'll never have to worry about that because you'll never be on 5G. In fact, there is a mode that is built into the new iPhones which will automatically take you off of 5G ultra wideband if you're not doing something that's data intensive. So if you're like streaming music or using data, it will automatically switch you to the lower network speed, or I guess to the 4G LTE connection, because they don't want you to drain your battery life until you're getting ready to download something that's intense.
Yeah, they added the new. There's like three settings now in the settings app for 5G. One is like 5G on, and that prioritizes 5G. 5G auto, which prioritizes battery life. Like you said, it throttles it back if it's to preserve battery if it doesn't need it, and then I think just turning it off altogether. But so it'll be interesting to see whether that works and how effective that is. That automatic, to prioritize your battery life rather than the 5G speeds. That's actually interesting.
Yeah, and
what I've never heard is why exactly does it eat up your battery?
Why does 5G eat up your battery?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't heard the answer to that either, but it seems like for whatever reason it's just more processor intensive, maybe because it's downloading bits faster or something and has to go through those bits faster. That's just me guessing.
I see.
out loud. That wasn't a technical explanation. I could get technical with you guys, but I don't want to bore you guys with all the technical details because I
started typing in why does 5G kill, and it auto completed bees.
And I think is the next search result sperm count as well.
You know what? This comes straight from the Samsung website.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like the reason it's doing is because it's bouncing back and forth between networks.
Wait, so the battery life is drained because it's bouncing back and forth between networks?
Because your phone is connected to multiple networks simultaneously, the battery will drain faster than one would typically expect, and the phone may get warmer than when solely on 3G or LTE.
Well, that's nice. It could be used as like a pocket warmer.
As the 5G networks grow in capacity and capability, they will be able to handle more of your phone's functions with less battery drain. So it's kind of like at my house when my Wi-Fi is acting up, crapping out, my battery dies all the time, right? Because it's constantly trying to connect to the Wi-Fi, and then going to LTE, and then back and forth. It's that kind of thing. So it sounds like it's not any kind of like the modem necessarily drains the battery faster, but more a situation of like, oh gee, there's not enough 5G.
Well, regardless, it's going to drain your battery faster, and that had me worried about the iPhone 12 mini, which was the phone I was going to go for. And now I think that phone is going to have battery problems. It's going to have a smaller battery anyway. We already know that. And now if you're on 5G, you have a smaller battery and you have the fact that 5G drains your battery faster. You're going to have 20% less battery life compared to LTE. So I think that phone is going to have battery problems. And all these things combined, I'm just like, this is going to be an expensive year. I'm buying a new camera. This is just my personal story. You all might be in different boats completely, and you might think it's worth upgrading. But I'm going to buy probably at least 16 HomePod minis. I got to have at least 2 or 3 in every room, right? That's $1,600 right there plus tax. I'm getting a new camera. I'm thinking about getting a new 4K TV because the LG has some really beautiful OLEDs coming out this year, and they're so cheap now. It's just crazy. And so I'm looking at all these expenses, and I'm thinking, do I really want to spend $1,000 on that beautiful iPhone 12 Pro Gold Edition? I do want to spend $1,000 on that. And I still might, but then
you're definitely gonna crack. There's no.
I mean, 1,100 anyway.
Ridiculous.
Don't forget the upgrade of the storage.
Right, and then there's that.
Just raid the kids, college fund. They don't need it anyway.
I thought maybe I could put harnesses on them and then attach them to a wagon of some kind, and then this Christmas I'll have them pull people in like a cart or something, for
with a little reindeer.
They're so whiny though. As soon as I put the bit in my daughter's mouth, she was like, "This is uncomfortable."
I don't like it.
I do things every day that I don't want to do. Come on, cut me a break here, right? Kids, am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I'll let you guys know what I decide, but I at this point I'm kind of leaning towards, for the first time in a long time, not upgrading my iPhone. And just going with something different and just stocking up on the I'm definitely going to get the MagSafe Duo because that was probably one of the coolest things announced at the entire keynote. And then the HomePod minis I'm going to get at least 3 of those because I'm moving the HomePods out to my living room. I have them in the Colt Command Center right here. I'm moving them out to my living room to be in front of my TV for the new feature that we're going to be talking about here in a little while. But regardless of what I think about the iPhone 12s, people are buying these things up left and right. Am I right here, Lewis? Did I go to the right person?
Transition.
What a pro. What
You're
a pro. Take it away, Lewis.
So apparently they're seeing a really strong start with the pre-orders. iPhone 12 is seeing twice as many pre-orders as last year's iPhone 11. And the iPhone 12 Pro is proving more popular than 11 Pro, according to new estimates from, you guessed it, Ming-Chi Kuo.
Personal favorite.
I never have any confidence that I'm pronouncing that reliable analyst's name.
You said that perfectly. You said that perfectly. Was that it? Did you read all of it?
No.
Okay, I'm looking something up as you speak. I'm going to pull this up in just a sec.
Yeah, so, once again, first one with 5G connectivity, supposedly that's driving a lot of interest. Attracted between 1.7 million and 2 million orders during its first 24 hours availability, according to Kuo.
Mm-hmm.
He indicates that demand seems to be split equally between the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro so far. It was believed that the more affordable iPhone 12 would be significantly more popular. It kind of makes sense, but then again, the prices aren't that far apart.
Yeah, not anymore, sadly.
Yeah. Long term, Kuo predicts that iPhone 12 and 12 Pro will see around 30 to 35% of total orders. iPhone 12 mini, the one with the battery problem that Air Farm predicts, would get 10 to 15%. And the larger, more expensive iPhone 12 Pro Max would go 15 to 20%.
Well,
and get this. Why do you think the iPhone 12 mini is going to be the least popular?
Why do I think
it's not because of the battery conspiracy. It's because
the lack of
dual SIM support. I found that kind of surprising. I didn't realize it didn't have dual SIM support. That somehow got past me.
Yeah, neither did I.
Well, I guess we don't use them here, do we? But this is in China, right?
Yeah. Why? Does anyone know why those are so popular in China?
I do not know.
Okay. I think one is like your official SIM, and then one is like the one that the government doesn't know about or something. The one that's not tracked in your social credit score.
Possible?
I don't know. What's the one that you get from like the mini marts, like can't be tracked or something?
Do you believe these numbers from Kuo?
I don't know, man. One, this guy seems to be tapped in.
For sure, but I wonder how's he estimating these numbers, and twice as much. That's a pretty big claim. Like if the iPhone 12 is selling twice as many, but only 1 million, that would make it the iPhone 11 had 1 million pre-orders in the first 24 hours. Versus 2 million now, right? So, but that seems really low. I mean, remember when Apple, when the launch day, people would line up at the stores, and then Apple would put out a press release on the Monday after they go on sale on the Friday, and it would be like in the range of 10 million or so that they'd sold. But I guess maybe he's talking about pre-orders rather than sales.
Right, and this is the first 24 hours that he's talking about.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows what happened the second 24 hours?
Oh, check this out. Hold on a sec. I'm looking at the chat, and it looks like we have someone who's either from China or in China. E4. I see you, E4. There you are. He says, because it's the norm to have a data tariff as a voice tariff in China. Oh, so data optimized versus voice optimized tariff. So are they charging you guys for voice data versus data? Is that the way it works? So they actually tax you on the data that's being used? So that would make sense. So you have like one SIM card for voice and one SIM card for data, I think is what he's saying there.
The one for voice never gets used.
It's weird, isn't it? Now that the iPhone it's like an extra step, and I demand that Apple change it immediately because it's terribly oppressive. It also just demonstrates to me how little I actually use my iPhone as a phone. I just if I have to make a call, I use FaceTime.
It's actually shocking when it happens.
That you get a phone call?
Yeah. Got one this morning. I was like, what do I do?
You panic. You have to talk to your therapist about it. The only calls I get are from political calls. I get tons of political calls, and then I get spam calls, right? People trying to sell me some garbage. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Those just go straight.
Likely.
Don't you have those turned off?
I do. I have them turned off for the most part, but every once in a while I'll turn off the automatic silence unknown callers feature because I'm expecting a call from someone and I don't know what their actual number is, right? And so I leave that on, and then they call and it goes straight to voicemail, and then they're annoyed with me, and then I leave it off because I'll turn it off for their second call, and then I just forget to turn it back on, and then the spam calls just start rolling in. It's like ring, 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 ring. I look down, it's like El Caney again? Added him to the blocked list. How did he get through? Oh,
right.
Someone's call is turned up. All right. Well, I think that's all our iPhone 12 chat. So maybe just to sum up, iPhone 12, people are happy with it. They're really happy with it. But if you're coming from the iPhone 11 Pro, you're just not really going to see a lot of huge improvements. And I know we say that a lot of times when a new Apple gadget comes out, but in my memory, I can't recall a time when that's been more true, when a new phone has been more iterative than this year. Unless you're going with the 12 Pro Max, if you're coming from the last gen phone, it really is pretty similar from everything that I've seen. And so for me personally, I'm like, $1,000 for a phone. Not really sure that I'm going to be able to swing that with all the other stuff that I'm buying this year. Alrighty, let's see here. Before we dive into the new HomePod Mini, because we definitely have to talk about that. Did we cover all of our Apple? I have so many freaking windows open here now. Did we cover all of our Apple or our iPhone 12 stories? Yeah, I think we did. Okay. All right, so before we move on, let me just tell you about Colt Cloth. Let me pull it up here, coltcloth.co. If you are obsessive about keeping your gadgets clean like I am, I invite you to check out coltcloth.co. This is a product that I launched. Look at that sparkly gadget there. Look how happy he is about that sparkly gadget. I keep my gadgets clean. I like to take care of all my tech, and I would always wipe stuff down. This is years ago with like my shirt or like my towel after I was done showering. That was a popular move. Like it's like when it's damp, I'm like take my phone in there and wipe it off. But it just smears all the grease around on your phone, and you can't use that on your laptop, of course. And so I went on a quest to find the absolute best way to keep all my gadgets sparkling clean. I ordered samples from all over the world, and I found some truly remarkable microfiber cloths. I call them Colt Cloth, and the difference is between ours and other kinds of microfiber is the fiber that we use is it goes through a process where it's broken down and has way more surface area than regular microfiber has. And that surface area is what creates the cleaning power in microfiber. Like without that, they don't really clean that well. So there's that difference. Also, the machines that are used to fabricate Colt Cloth are like $1 million each, whereas oftentimes with the cheap microfiber, you might be talking about like $100,000 machine. They're just really cheap. And the machines that weave ours together are high tech, and they're able to really squeeze all of the fiber in there very densely. So you have a really thick, plush microfiber that has the broken down fiber. So it has like that dual power. It has more surface area, and then they're more tightly woven together. And when you get them in your hands, you can just tell immediately there's a difference between them and virtually everything else that you've seen on the market. And when you rub these across your iPhone, your Mac, your keyboard, your glasses, anything. I use them on my photography lenses. Nothing is left behind but sparkling glass and metal. And the fibers will reach down into the crevasses of your devices. Like if you have a case on, like I do, with this little crack on the outside, it will actually reach down into that little crack and pull everything up. And there's just nothing left. There's just nothing left but glass. What's going on over there, El Katie?
I want one, man. I just can't. I can't even wait. Look at what I've got here. Look, a really sad, pathetic, regular microfiber cloth. It's all kind of, I just got to get one of those new cloths. Where do I go, Irfan?
Oh boy. Well, I'll hook you up with a 5% discount later.
Oh, really?
Don't worry.
Wow, generous. Thanks.
You're getting hooked up. It might be 4%. I have to look at the discount code. But for our listeners, they can go to coltcloth.co and check out what we have. And if you use code COLTCLOTH at checkout, or COLTCAST at checkout, I should say, you'll get a free 8x8 clean cloth with any order, and you'll be truly impressed with the way they work. I use them on everything. I use them every day. And I got some on the way to Lewis. I got some on the way to El Caney. Well, not yet, but you're gonna get some. You're gonna get some too, El Caney. You can use them on because look how dinky that thing is. How hold that up again? Look how small that is.
It's a pocket one. It's for glasses.
That's absurd. Yeah, like ours are large enough where they actually fit in your hands. So when you're wiping stuff down, your hand doesn't hit the phone and like smear it all the way across the phone.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, your glasses. You're going to be seeing in 2020 again, Lewis. You have to be able to see where you're going.
My iPad is so filthy, you can't even see it.
It's so filthy, it's not even there. It's just covered. All right, cool. All right, so let's move on here. Let's talk about the HomePod and the insane feature coming to HomePod. So I mentioned this last week, and I didn't actually realize the way this feature was going to work. So HomePod is getting Dolby Atmos support, and it's going to have support for 5.1 and 7.1 surround sound, okay? Now, when I mentioned this last week, I thought that meant that we were going to have multiple HomePods so that you can make this work. Like surround sound, you need a surround sound system. You need 5 speakers plus 1, which is the subwoofer. For 7, you need 7 speakers plus 1. No, they're adding this feature, and you'll be able to use it with a single HomePod. But if you have 2 HomePods, it's going to work even better. So you're going to have Dolby Atmos surround sound coming from just 2 HomePods in a stereo pair in front of your TV. Let me just read this story because I think this is really exciting. An upcoming home cinema feature will soon enable Apple HomePod to blast Dolby Atmos audio from Apple TV 4K. The feature is on the way as part of a future firmware update. Will also support 5.1 and 7.1 channel audio. So even though you only have 2 speakers, only the regular HomePod is going to get this option, so it won't work with the HomePod Mini. And also, they're adding a feature so that your HomePods will connect automatically as the default audio for your Apple TV. This is a huge feature. Imagine being able to listen to 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound in your content with only having 2 wireless speakers. So you're not going to have wires going everywhere. You can just plop these things in front of your TV and you're ready to go. Not to mention the plethora of other uses for HomePods. You'll be able to stream music to them via AirPlay. You can make calls on them. You can use Siri if you want to, but you can use it to turn your lights on and off. I mean, basic commands, Siri works pretty well. And I think this is going to add an unbelievable new life to the HomePods, and it was something that I was super excited to see. And I honestly can't wait to try it out. I'll probably end up making a video about it on my YouTube channel. Later, your thoughts about Dolby Atmos with 2 stereo HomePods? Because you have stereo HomePods too, don't you?
I do, but I only use them for music. I have an
old
Sonos. I have Sonos hooked up to the TV. And I don't know really that much about, these different, different technologies. Like, I don't really have an opinion. I mean, I thought they already supported that kind of stuff anyway. Is this like the newest sound technology that are coming out of Dolby, or
no? Has it
been around for a while?
This technology has been around for a while, and I think that the exciting thing about this is, like I said before, if you wanted surround sound before, you need to have physical speakers, right? And there are speakers that will emulate Dolby Atmos, but the fact that this is coming to the HomePod, I mean, the HomePods are on sale routinely for, what, $200 each? So you can get full living room surround sound for $400 if you get 2 of these on sale.
So it'll emulate 7 speakers, or 7.1, it'll be like you have 7.1 speakers.
Exactly. So it kind of like, it will... My understanding is, I'm not a Dolby Atmos expert, okay? But my understanding is it uses different kinds of algorithms to analyze the structure of your room, and then it will fire sound out around you so that when you're listening to your movie or watching your movie, the music or the movie audio is going to sound like it's coming from the sides. It's going to sound like it's coming behind you, even though all you have are 2 HomePods sitting right in front of your TV. I think that's pretty magical. Now, if you want, you can use HomePod Mini as the speakers for your Apple TV, but you only get stereo for those. So you won't be able to use Dolby Atmos, at least not yet. Maybe in the future they will add that feature. But
I doubt it.
Yeah, they probably won't.
I mean, it's not going to have the processing power to do that, right? I think it's...
I don't know. I mean, they might. It seems like it could just be a software limitation, but regardless, Apple probably is not going to add it anytime soon if they add it at all because, well, they want you to spend the extra money on the HomePod.
Yeah, there's got to be limitations. I mean, those little things are the size of a baseball.
Yeah, well, that's true. They are tiny. Like, the HomePod Minis are like this big each. They're absolutely tiny. And, I think this is a game-changing feature, quite honestly. Like, if you have an Apple TV, I think it's probably worth getting HomePods just for this feature because it's going to completely change the listening experience for your movies, and you'll have full surround sound with just 2 HomePods.
It works. I used to have an old Yamaha soundbar that claimed to do a similar thing, bouncing sound off, and it never really worked that well, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I am interested to see is how well or how full the audio sounds. The HomePods, I have 2 on my desk right now. They sound great. When you're right in front of them especially, they have what I have coined to be a envelope of power. You sit and it just envelops you in this unbelievable sound. But when you're sitting 6 feet away, 7 feet away on a couch, that I wonder how well they're going to work in those kind of instances where you really need something with some punch to get in there and fill out the room, because they are small. I mean, the HomePod is like this. It's basically as big as my face. If my fro were a little bit smaller, it's basically just like this big. So if you're going to be sitting far away from it, then it may not be as enveloping as I'm hoping that it will be. But this feature is currently available in beta. I don't know if I have access to it yet, but if I do, I'm going to take it inside and try it out, and I can let you guys know next week how it sounds. So by next week, I should have a report, hopefully, if I can get it working. But if it does work well, game changer, guys.
So it's limited to Apple TV 4K though, huh? That's disappointing. Yeah. I don't have the 4K.
Oh, you don't? Well, I think that maybe it's time for you to get one. Lewis, do you have a 4K television?
No.
Yeah, neither do I. I bought the Apple TV 4K thinking I would get a 4K TV, but then I just never ended up getting one because every time I would go into the Best Buy, my local Best Buy, I could never make a decision on which TV I wanted. So here I am 2 years later, and I still have a 4K TV.
It's an expensive proposition, isn't it? HomePods, TVs.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm thinking, okay, what don't I need this year? iPhone. Out of all the things that I'm thinking about buying, I've been eyeballing a new Canon camera. I've been eyeballing the Red Komodo. I've got some expenses coming up, and I'm just like, do I really want to spend extra money on the iPhone when I could own a Red Komodo? Like, I don't know. It's tough because we want to own this stuff so that we could talk about it here on the show. That's like one of my prime motivations. But I gotta, you can only buy so much stuff, and Apple stuff isn't exactly cheap. Stephen Huxtable, he's one of the Huxtables, guys. We have one of the Huxtables here. I'm honored. He says the Mini does not have spatial awareness. Okay, so if that's true, then there you go. So you're not going to be getting that on the HomePod Mini, and even if it had spatial awareness, TC's not giving you that feature for $100. Forget about it. Let's see here. All right, let's wrap up with some talk about Johnny Ive, because about 35 people per hour were DMing me about this story. Do we have this story in the show notes? I don't think that we have it.
I don't think you did.
Does anyone want to ad-lib the story? Leander, do you know anything about this story?
Well, look like the information, that.
True. So the good news is it's going to be less than $1, so that won't kill us. But yeah, so I got to move my standby button somewhere completely different, so I don't accidentally hit the standby button anymore, because it's right next to my browse button. And what I've been trying to show you guys is this Verge article right here talking about the new Johnny Ive story. Where did it go? I lost it. No, there it is. Yeah, and the fact that he's going to be working with Airbnb. But what I thought was most interesting about the story is not the fact that he's going to be helping Airbnb make a new app and probably helping create chamfered mint pillows, which I have no doubt are in production as we speak. But did you guys catch this part of the story where they said that part of his job was going to be helping Airbnb recreate their design team? Did you see that? I think that's the most interesting part of this story, is not that they're hiring him to help with the app, which they probably are. I mean, he'll probably have a lot of different responsibilities, but they've basically tasked him with helping them create a world-class industrial design team or design team to create other kinds of Airbnb products. Now, I don't really know what kind of products Airbnb has besides just selling Airbnbs. Do you guys, are they selling their own line of hot sauce or anything like that?
Well, they've got experiences, Airbnb experiences. They've been expanding into that.
And what are those? Like vacations? Like we'll take you to go bungee jumping or something?
I mean, for instance, yeah, like if you're going to be in Arizona, you might hire Buster through an Airbnb experience to take you out and jump off a cliff. 99% safe. 99%.
Well, if you're with Buster, it's more like 65%. But
so they do that stuff. think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that they were getting into even operating some of their own rental units, weren't they?
Yeah.
So maybe he'll create some Japanese style sleep pods. And Airbnb will be selling these things for people, and people will be setting up racks of sleep pods out in their front yard.
Yeah, like flesh rejuvenation pods, which is probably what Tim Cook and Johnny Ive sleep in, no doubt. I mean, look at Johnny Ive. He looks great. How old is this guy? He's like in his 50s now, isn't he? He looks fantastic. This is probably
that picture's about 20
I was gonna
years
say, never
old.
mind. This is an older picture. Also, when you're enveloped in the great heavenly light of the Apple keynotes production, this will make you look like $1 million. They could have dragged him off the street and made him look good. So yeah, interesting story. Johnny Ive has a new gig. He's working for Airbnb now, and if you get a chamfered mint pillow in your next Airbnb stay, well, you know who to thank for that. It's going to radically change your experience. I think that's it, guys. I think we should go ahead and wrap it up there. What do you say? I think that's all the stories we have for you guys this week. Is there anything else? Let me look at my notes here. No. But I appreciate everyone hanging out during the live stream, and I appreciate everyone letting us know what's going on as we're doing this, because I'm trying to do
We never would have known, would we? We could have been like talking and there would be no sound.
We wouldn't have had sound, and then we would have been on the wrong screen. And
Pathetic.
yeah, it just would have been a complete disaster. So we're working out the kinks. And we're going to keep polishing away. I'm like a fine craftsman. I'm just polishing.
With a cold cloth.
Crafting. I got a cold cloth in one hand, cold cloth in the other hand. I got cold cloths in both hands, and I'm going like this. I'm just rubbing it down. And it's going to keep getting better. So we appreciate everyone hanging out, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. That's all the Cultcast we have for you guys this week. Hey, if you want to come reach out to us, we're all on Twitter. I'm at Arifon, ERFON. Leander is at El Caney. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. This has been the Cultcast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the Cultcast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. We're clear, guys, but don't say anything offensive, Leander. I think they can still hear us.